Have you ever looked around and felt like everyone else got the manual for life, except you? Like no matter how hard you work, you're always one unexpected bill away from panic. You watch people buying homes, investing, taking vacations, building wealth, while you're just trying to make it to the end of the month without falling apart. And slowly, you start believing something is wrong with you. That you're bad with money. Lazy. Undisciplined. Behind. But what if none of that is true? What if the real problem is that you've been living in survival mode for so long that your brain has stopped making decisions from a place of clarity, and started making them from a place of fear? Because survival mode changes the way you think. It changes how you spend. How you save. How you plan. And even how you see yourself. In this video, we're going to uncover the hidden ways financial stress hijacks your decisions, the habits that quietly keep you stuck, and practical mindset shifts that can help you regain a sense of calm, control, and hope, no matter where you're starting from. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor or licensed financial professional. I'm simply sharing lessons from personal experience, ongoing research, and the books and articles that have helped me better understand the psychology of money. If you've ever felt exhausted by money, overwhelmed by life, or convinced that you're falling behind, stay with me until the end. Because you may discover that you're not broken. You're not failing. You've just been trying to survive. And survival doesn't have to be your permanent address. Many of us are dealing with rising costs, wages that haven't kept up with inflation, the stress of rent or mortgage payments, and that constant background noise in our minds. What if something big goes wrong? For a lot of people, the usual advice of, well, you just need to budget better, isn't realistic, or helpful. When you're lying awake at 4 in the morning imagining worst-case scenarios, or having a quiet meltdown in the grocery store because of how much a simple bag of coffee costs these days. That ongoing sense of dread or tension around money, the feeling that never fully leaves the back of your mind, is what we call financial stress. It's the constant mental pressure that makes it hard to relax, hard to think clearly, and hard to feel safe, even when, on paper, things might look okay. Financial anxiety happens when money stops being a practical problem to solve and starts becoming a threat your brain is constantly scanning for, especially when the cost of everything seems to keep climbing higher and higher. Financial stress and anxiety often show up as a combination of thoughts, emotions, and physical reactions. Mentally, it can look like endless what-if thoughts, catastrophizing about the future, replaying numbers in your head, or feeling like you're always one unexpected expense away from disaster. Emotionally, it may feel like shame, guilt, frustration, or embarrassment, especially if you believe you should have everything figured out by now. Physically, it can show up as a tight chest, headaches, poor sleep, an upset stomach, or that strange feeling of being tense and exhausted at the same time. This state can push you into two extreme patterns, obsession or avoidance. Obsession might look like checking your banking app multiple times a day, constantly refreshing your email for bills, or endlessly researching money tips without actually changing anything. Avoidance, on the other hand, can mean leaving letters unopened, ignoring emails, avoiding your bank accounts altogether, or pretending everything is fine until something urgent forces you to deal with reality. And sometimes, you swing between the two. You panic and take action for a few days, only to retreat into avoidance again because the emotional weight becomes too much to carry. For many people who feel like they're barely keeping their heads above water, financial anxiety also shows up as decision fatigue. Simple choices suddenly feel loaded with pressure. What should I buy at the grocery store? Should I cancel that subscription? Can I afford to say yes to meeting a friend for coffee? Every decision feels like it drains energy you no longer have. So, how do you deal with money stress? How do you move from constantly feeling on edge to creating a little more calm and control? Let's break it down into 3 layers. Some immediate actions for when your brain is in full survival mode. Some quick steps you can take over the next week or 2. And bigger changes you can work toward over time. Let's start with what you can do right now. First, take the storm out of your head. Set aside 5 minutes and write down every financial worry you're carrying. The bills. The "what if I can't pay for this" thoughts. The fears about the future. Don't organize them. Don't judge them. Just get them out of your mind and onto paper, or into your notes app. Seeing your worries in one place transforms a fog of fear into a list your brain can actually process, instead of leaving everything swirling around endlessly in the background. And sometimes, that alone can lighten the load. Second, do one small thing you've been avoiding. Pick one simple financial task you've been putting off. Open the bill. Check the statement. Reply to the email. Make the phone call. Just do it. Avoidance keeps fear enormous because your brain only knows that something bad is lurking in the shadows. But facing one small task shrinks that fear and gives you a powerful message your nervous system desperately needs to hear. I can handle this. Finally, decide on your non-negotiables. These are the things you'll protect as much as possible, even when money is tight. Maybe it's the essentials: food, housing, medication, electricity. But it can also include one small source of genuine joy that's important for your mental well-being: a weekly coffee, a low-cost streaming service you use to unwind, or something else that helps you feel human. When finances become stressful, your brain starts treating everything like an emergency. But when you identify your non-negotiables, you're saying, "These are the foundations that help me function." They become your guide through difficult choices without sacrificing your well-being first every single time. In the end, you can't fix the rising cost of living overnight. But you can change how your mind and body respond to financial stress by building calming routines and becoming more intentional about where your time, energy, and money go. So let me leave you with this question. What's one small change you can make today to feel just a little less on edge about money? Not 5 changes. Not a complete life overhaul. Just one small step that gives you a little more room to breathe. Start there. Before we dive in, if this video helps you see money, and yourself, in a different light, consider subscribing to my wealth guide. Our goal isn't to chase perfection or overnight wealth. It's to build financial confidence, clarity, and peace of mind, one small step at a time. If you've ever felt trapped in a cycle of, "it's never enough," then you've already experienced what psychologists call a scarcity mindset. Living with this perspective can deeply affect your happiness and, perhaps even more importantly, lead you to make financial decisions rooted in fear rather than logic. We've all had moments when we felt like we didn't have enough, or that there would never be enough. It's what makes us feel guilty for buying something inexpensive that we genuinely enjoy. It's what pushes us to buy cheap, low-quality items that fall apart quickly because spending a little more feels irresponsible or dangerous. When the idea of scarcity takes over, we can start behaving in ways that don't align with our values or long-term goals. And when it fuels financial anxiety, it can completely reshape the way we live. What we're describing is known as a scarcity mindset. Maybe you've heard the term in a self-help book or from someone online. At its core, it's the belief that money is limited, opportunities are scarce, and that you have to fight for every piece of what's available. While that mindset might seem like it would motivate you to work harder or budget more carefully, financial therapists often say the opposite is true. More often than not, scarcity becomes the source of your complicated relationship with money. And here's what's fascinating. A scarcity mindset doesn't only affect people who are struggling to survive. It can affect almost anyone. For example, you could have 6 months of emergency savings, be maxing out your retirement contributions every year, and still feel anxious about spending $10 on a cup of coffee. Financial therapy experts also point out that other people's success can trigger scarcity thinking. Imagine seeing someone get promoted, land a high-paying job, or inherit money. Without realizing it, you might interpret their win as your loss. You feel jealous. You feel disappointed in yourself. And suddenly, Someone else's progress feels like proof that you're falling behind. When we feel deprived of a resource, often money, it can fundamentally change the way we think about it and the decisions we make around it. So, where does a scarcity mindset come from? Very often, it starts in childhood. Maybe your parents emphasized being frugal at all costs. Maybe they argued about money. Maybe they frequently said they couldn't afford certain things. Perhaps you were told that people like you didn't wear certain brands of shoes or jeans. The message underneath those experiences was often the same. Enjoying life comes with danger. Financial hardship is always waiting around the corner. Some other signs that you may be operating from a scarcity mindset include persistent anxiety about running out of money, even when your finances are stable. Avoiding financial realities, like leaving bills unopened, because you're afraid of bad news. Feeling guilty or nervous about spending money on non-essential items, even when you can comfortably afford them. Feeling resentful or threatened when other people succeed. Feeling anxious when a group wants to split the dinner bill evenly. Holding on to random things you no longer need, old boxes, clothes that don't fit, expired food, just in case. Going out to eat but choosing everything based solely on price. Avoiding certain stores because you believe, people like me don't belong there. Limiting your vision of what's possible for your life. Constantly negotiating with yourself. If I buy this, then I can't have that. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward breaking free from them. A scarcity mindset is not a life sentence. It's a mental habit. And mental habits can be changed through awareness, self-compassion, and the courage to question the beliefs we've inherited. Start by asking yourself one simple question. Is this decision based on fear, or reality? Small shifts in the way you think about money can create space for greater abundance, more calm, and a deeper sense of financial freedom. And sometimes, the first sign of financial growth isn't a bigger paycheck. It's finally realizing that fear doesn't get to make every decision for you. A quick disclaimer before we continue. I'm not a financial advisor or a personal finance expert. I simply share what I've learned through life experiences, ongoing reading, and research on these topics. My goal is to encourage thoughtful conversations and lifelong learning. Always do your own research and consider seeking guidance from qualified financial professionals when making important financial decisions. When you embrace an abundance mindset, you can completely transform the way you see money, opportunities, and even yourself. An abundance mindset is the opposite of scarcity. Instead of focusing on what you don't have or what's missing, you train your brain to recognize what is already available to you, even if it's small, and begin to see money as something you can grow, create, and attract through intentional action. This shift moves your thinking from "I don't have enough money" to "How can I build more from where I am right now?" And that small shift changes everything. It changes how you save, how you spend, how you pursue opportunities, even how you view your own potential. When you practice abundance thinking, you begin to notice that opportunities seem to multiply when you believe they're possible. A raise feels more attainable. Investing feels less intimidating. Even your budget becomes more strategic and purposeful. Moving away from scarcity doesn't happen overnight. It begins with intentional daily practices. Out of all the advice out there, start with these 3. First, identify scarcity thinking. Awareness is the first step toward freedom. Pay attention to thoughts like, "I'll never earn enough. There's no point in trying. People like me don't get ahead." These are mental traps that keep you stuck. Once you notice them, you can challenge them and replace them with thoughts rooted in possibility. That's where growth begins. Second, practice gratitude. Focusing only on what you lack is one of the fastest ways to strengthen scarcity thinking. But when you intentionally notice what's already going well, something powerful happens. You've probably heard this advice before, but try it anyway. Each morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for. It sounds simple. Maybe even too simple. But daily gratitude strengthens an abundance mindset and supports healthier financial decisions. Instead of living in fear and deprivation, you begin operating from appreciation. And appreciation creates space for wiser habits. Third, surround yourself with abundance thinkers. Whether you realize it or not, the people around you shape the way you see yourself and the world. If you want to change your relationship with money, spend more time around people who believe growth is possible. Connect with mentors. Learn from communities. Listen to people who encourage responsibility without fear. Their confidence becomes contagious. Abundance stops feeling like a motivational slogan and starts becoming something tangible. Turn "never enough" into "more than enough." Your mindset around money may seem secondary, but it's one of the quiet forces shaping every financial decision you make. Yes, the numbers matter. Your income matters. Your budget matters. But examining your beliefs about money matters too. Learning how scarcity and abundance influence your choices takes effort. But the reward is undeniable. By consciously shifting your mindset, committing to healthier financial habits, and embracing new possibilities, you can begin breaking free from the limitations that once felt permanent. Scarcity teaches us to approach money with fear, hesitation, and inefficiency. It convinces us that holding on tightly to every dollar is the safest option. But often, that grip suffocates growth. It limits opportunities. It keeps us playing defense for the rest of our lives. Abundance doesn't mean recklessness. It means believing that growth is possible. It means using your money intentionally instead of simply protecting it out of fear. Abundance begins in the mind. And from there, it spreads into every area of your financial life. And maybe that's the biggest lesson of all. You're not behind in life. You may simply be operating in survival mode. And survival mode was never meant to be your permanent address. You don't have to change everything overnight. Start small. Take one action you've been avoiding. Challenge one fear-based belief. Make one decision rooted in clarity instead of panic. Small changes, repeated consistently, create extraordinary results over time. If this video encouraged you, consider subscribing to my wealth guide and joining this community. Here, we talk about more than money. We talk about the mindset behind money. Because financial growth isn't just about earning more. It's about thinking differently, making better decisions, and creating a life with more peace, confidence, and intention. And if this message resonated with you, I highly recommend watching another video on this channel. How your mindset is keeping you broke, low income. If you haven't seen it yet, I truly believe it's worth your time. It explores how hidden beliefs about money can quietly shape your habits and keep you stuck without you even realizing it. Thank you for spending these moments with me. No matter where you are financially right now, don't lose hope. Your current situation is not your final destination. Be patient with yourself. Keep learning. Keep growing. And remember, financial clarity doesn't begin when your bank account changes. It begins the moment your mind does. Until next time, take care of yourself, and keep building the future you deserve, one intentional choice at a time.